Welcome to the captivating world of Japanese silk farming. Imagine a small, delicate creature that creates one of the most luxurious materials in the world. That's right, silk. Japan has a rich history of silk production, and today it remains one of the top producers of this gleaming fabric. But did you know that the process starts with millions of silkworms? Yes, silkworms are the unsung heroes of the entire silk industry. So, let's dive into how Japanese farmers are cultivating millions of silkworms for one of the most coveted fabrics in fashion. Meet the silkworm, the tiny worker that can create a fortune. Let's take a moment to talk about the silkworms themselves. These little creatures are responsible for producing silk thread, which is then spun into the shiny, smooth fabric we all adore. Japanese farmers typically use Bombyx mori, the domesticated silkworm, for commercial silk production. These silkworms start as tiny larvae, but once they are fed a steady diet of mulberry leaves, they start working overtime, producing a silk thread that can be hundreds of meters long. Each silkworm creates a cocoon, and guess what? It's made entirely of silk protein. They go into overdrive, wrapping themselves up in this incredibly fine thread, and in just a few days, the cocoon is complete. The mulberry diet. Why silkworms love mulberry trees. Ever wonder what makes silkworms so productive? Well, it's all about their diet. Japanese farmers carefully feed their silkworms a special diet of mulberry leaves. These leaves are rich in nutrients that help the silkworms grow quickly and produce high-quality silk. In fact, a silkworm will munch through up to 100,000 mulberry leaves during its short lifespan. This intense feeding schedule happens in the silkworm breeding rooms, which are climate-controlled to ensure the leaves stay fresh and the silkworms stay healthy. The quality of mulberry leaves directly impacts the quality of the silk produced, so farmers are always on the lookout for the best leaves to feed their little silk factories. Harvesting the silk cocoon, the big moment. After weeks of feeding, the silkworms start to wrap themselves up in their silky threads, creating what is known as the cocoon. This is where the magic happens. Silkworms spin their cocoon around themselves using a continuous thread that's incredibly strong. It's like a tiny silk fortress for the worm inside. Once the cocoon is complete, the farmer's job is about to begin. But here's the twist. In order to harvest the silkworms must not be allowed to complete their transformation into moths. Farmers must quickly gather the cocoon before the worm inside breaks free, which would destroy the silk thread. Timing is critical, as the longer you wait, the more fragile the thread becomes. The harvesting process, from cocoon to silk. Now comes the thrilling part of the process, harvesting the cocoon. Once the silkworms have spun their masterpieces, they are carefully collected. Farmers must handle these delicate little silk bundles with extreme care to avoid damaging the threads. The cocoon is then boiled in hot water to soften the silk fibers and kill the silkworm inside, preventing it from turning into a moth. At this stage, the silk is untangled into a long, continuous thread, which is then wound onto spools for further processing. It takes about 2,000 silkworms to make just 1 pound of raw silk, making it an extremely labor-intensive process. This is why silk is often associated with luxury. Getting to this stage requires a lot of work and attention to detail. Spinning the silk, the art of creating fine thread. After boiling the silk cocoons, the next step is spinning. The long fibers that were once tightly wound in the cocoon need to be carefully unraveled and spun into threads. This process is done by skilled workers who use machines designed for silk reeling. The cocoon is placed into a reel, and the threads are carefully separated and wound onto spools. The goal is to create the finest, most even thread possible. But there's a bit of an art to it. It takes a highly trained hand to control the tension and smoothness of the thread. The process results in smooth, lustrous silk thread that is strong enough to be woven into luxurious fabrics. Depending on the quality of the silk, this can take anywhere from a few hours to a couple of days. The higher the quality of the silk, the more care that's needed to spin it perfectly. Weaving the fabric. Turning silk thread into gorgeous silk cloth. Once the silk is spun into threads, it's time to turn it into actual fabric. This is where the real magic happens. The silk thread is woven into beautiful shiny fabric on a loom. Japanese silk is often known for its intricate patterns and luxurious texture, and this is achieved through skilled weaving techniques. The loom can create different kinds of silk fabrics, including shantung, taffeta, and crêpe de chine, depending on the style desired. Each type of silk has its own unique texture and finish, ranging from a matte look to a high-gloss sheen. The weaving process involves a lot of precision, ensuring that the fabric is strong, smooth, and ready to be dyed. Dyeing and finishing, the final touches. After the silk has been woven into fabric, it's time for the dyeing and finishing process. This is where the silk is transformed into a wide range of stunning colors. The fabric is dyed using a variety of natural and synthetic dyes, which are carefully selected to ensure the colors are vibrant and rich. Traditional Japanese dyeing techniques like shibori, tie-dye, or kyoyuzen, a hand-painting method, are sometimes used to create intricate designs that are unique to Japanese culture. Once dyed, the fabric is treated with various finishing processes to ensure it's soft, smooth, and durable. The final result is a luxurious piece of silk ready to be turned into clothing, accessories, or even artwork. Silk as a staple in Japanese fashion and culture. In Japan, silk has long been seen as a symbol of elegance and prestige. From kimonos to fashion-forward garments, silk plays a huge role in the country's rich textile history. But it's not just about looking good. Silk is also culturally significant. Historically, Japanese emperors, nobles, and samurais wore silk to showcase their wealth and status. Even today, silk kimonos are worn for special occasions, such as weddings, tea ceremonies, and other ceremonial events. The allure of Japanese silk remains strong, attracting fashion enthusiasts and collectors from all over the world. The future of Japanese silk farming, innovation meets tradition. So, what's next for the Japanese silk industry? While Japan's traditional methods of silk farming remain deeply ingrained in its culture, innovation is playing an increasingly important role in silk production. New technologies and machinery are being developed to make the process more efficient and sustainable, without compromising the quality of the final product. Some farmers are experimenting with biotechnology to develop silk that's even more durable, more sustainable, and even more eco-friendly. With the growing demand for sustainable fabrics, Japan's silk industry is perfectly positioned to lead the charge in producing high-quality, eco-conscious silk, the ancient art of sericulture, Japan's time-honored tradition. Japan's silk farming, or sericulture, has been around for over 1,000 years. This ancient practice, which dates back to the Nara period, 710 to 794 AD, was passed down through generations of farmers who developed incredibly refined techniques for raising silkworms and harvesting silk. The traditions of Japanese sericulture are deeply intertwined with the country's cultural identity and craftsmanship. But even with all the technological advancements today, Japanese farmers still honor the centuries-old methods, preserving the cultural significance of this process. The harmony between old and new makes silk farming in Japan a perfect blend of history and modern innovation. The fascinating life cycle of a silkworm, from egg to silk production. The life cycle of a silkworm is a true marvel of nature. Starting from a tiny egg, it goes through 4 stages before it becomes the silk-producing cocoon we know and love. Once the eggs hatch, the larvae start their feast on mulberry leaves, rapidly growing and molting multiple times. After about 4 to 6 weeks of eating, they enter the pupal stage, where they begin spinning their cocoon. What's mind-blowing is that the entire cocoon is made from a single continuous thread up to 900 meters long. The life cycle of a silkworm is fast, fascinating, and perfectly synchronized with nature's rhythms. The role of women in the Japanese silk industry. In Japan, silk farming has traditionally been a woman's job, especially during the early 20th century, when families relied on women to maintain silkworm nurseries and process the silk. Women worked tirelessly to ensure the silkworms were fed, the cocoons were harvested, and the silk was spun. The silk industry empowered many Japanese women economically and gave them a sense of purpose in a male-dominated society. Today, while technology has made some aspects of silk production more automated, the legacy of female workers in the industry continues to thrive, with women still playing a central role in every stage of production. Why Japanese silk is a global symbol of luxury and quality. What makes Japanese silk so highly sought after? For starters, the quality of Japanese silk is second to none. The Japanese take pride in producing silk that is both luxurious and durable, a rare combination. From the moment it's harvested, the silk undergoes meticulous processing and weaving, making sure each thread retains its smooth texture and natural shine. The attention to detail and the craftsmanship involved in every step of the process ensure that Japanese silk is considered a premium product worldwide. Whether it's used for fine garments or traditional kimono, the beauty of this silk has captivated fashionistas for centuries. The environmental impact of silk farming, sustainability, and challenges. While silk farming can be incredibly lucrative, it's not without its environmental impact. Producing silk requires large amounts of water, energy, and mulberry trees, which can put strain on natural resources. However, Japan is leading the way in sustainable silk farming practices, focusing on eco-friendly farming methods to reduce waste and environmental damage. Some farmers are experimenting with organic silk production, using fewer chemicals and promoting soil health. The future of Japanese silk could become even more eco-conscious as the demand for sustainable fabrics grows. It's all about balancing tradition with environmental responsibility, a challenging yet necessary task for the silk industry to thrive in a more green, conscious world. Conclusion. From worm to wonder, the magic of Japanese silk farming. The journey of the Japanese silkworm is nothing short of magical. From being fed a steady diet of mulberry leaves to spinning their silky threads, these tiny creatures create some of the most coveted fabrics in the world. With careful harvesting, skilled spinning, and intricate weaving, silkworms help bring luxurious silk to life. Whether it's high-fashion clothing, luxurious bedding, or artistic tapestries, Japanese silk has earned its place as one of the finest textiles in the world. So the next time you admire a piece of silk clothing or a beautiful silk kimono, remember the fascinating journey it took from tiny silkworms to high-end fashion. It's not just a fabric, it's a labor of love, culture, and innovation. Isn't it incredible how such a small creature can create something so beautiful and valuable? Let us know your thoughts about the fascinating world of silk farming in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more amazing insights into the world's most unique industries. Thanks for watching.